Hello and welcome back to the Chattergate podcast. Your usual two hosts talking movies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm your host, Thomas Hughes. I'm joined by the lovely Hayden Roberts, and we continue our little Australian natural horror binge. To be fair, I want a binge drink after watching this.
Need it just to pay.
Because it's mediocre.
God, yeah.
Obviously, last week we covered the 2007 survival horror, which was Blackwater, and obviously today we're looking at its 2020 sequel. Obviously, a good fucking 13 years after Blackwater Abyss. So this has nothing to do with the last one. You don't have to watch the last one to actually watch this. It's a new story. It's not even based on true events like the last one. It's just an excuse to revisit the first film and make a sequel. Because, it's a horror film. You gotta have a sequel. Very rare you get a horror movie that you don't get a sequel. Even the shit movies, they tend to get some sort of sequel. And sometimes the sequels are better than the first one. But not in this case. So, again, this one follows a group of people get trapped somewhere and in the process get hunted by a local saltwater crocodile that's lurking.
Basically the exact same premise, except instead of it being like
in a river,
basically in the trees,
it's a cave.
In a cave
on rocks.
Yes.
Obviously, the only thing, bit of facts here. Obviously, this is the first film that came out in cinemas when they reopened after COVID. This was the first movie back out. A weird choice for the first film back out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of big movies that you would have thought would come out. I mean, like Tenet was out not long after. You'd have thought that would be like the big one to open it, Christopher Nolan movie. But no, they open with a small Australian crocodile film that most people probably haven't even seen the first one, and the first one was like 13 years old.
Like a test.
Yeah, but I don't think many people went to watch this, and it's not that I can understand why not many people watched it. I mean, not many people tend to watch natural horror films in cinemas anyway. They usually tend to do better in terms of streaming
DVD.
or they say DVD releases. Obviously, there's a few exceptions if it's the big budgeted ones, like something like Beast or Crawl. Obviously, there's a bit more budget in them. There's a lot more advertisements on them, so that's why people go to watch them. Whereas something like this wasn't really advertised much. It kind of just like, oh yeah, this is coming out now. We've been on about this for like a year or so, and here you go, going straight to cinemas.
Basically, if you know about the first one, you'll know about this one. But if you don't know about it, you'll probably didn't know it existed.
Basically. But yeah, obviously this follows 4 friends. Obviously two sets of couples and a guide. Obviously the guide's the friend of the one guy. Who basically go to this cave system that's basically the guides found during an expedition to try and find some lost Japanese tourists. Who, if you obviously when you watch the start of it, die straight away because
they die at the start, and then it's just nothing for a while.
Because obviously the croc get to them, and obviously the guy finds the cave and he phones him up. He's like, "Okay, we've got a cave system. We're not gonna explore it. I get the first dibs on it though." Obviously they all go there as a group, go into the cave. I mean, there's a storm possibly coming near them. Might just miss them, might not. And it's still go down anyway. Let's not tell the others about it. Go down, get washed and stuck under there. And obviously, to make matters worse, obviously there's a saltwater crocodile under there. So they're trapped underground, no way out. And basically they're fighting against time because of the water rising and the deadly predator that's basically is like, well, you're on my turf now.
Stalking.
Yeah, territorial. Which is basically the concept of all 4 of these movies. It's a territorial killer animal that's basically you got into its turf and it's game over. But obviously, the one thing this has over its predecessor is it has a more established cast.
Yeah.
Specifically, its 2 main stars, the one couple. Obviously, it's Luke Mitchell, who's a big TV star, who's in Home and Away, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Blind Spot, among many other TV shows. Tomorrow People. Is in a lot of TV shows. And then you also have Jessica McName. Obviously, again, all these are Australian, FYI. It's an entirely Australian cast. Obviously, she's been in some really big budgeted movies as of late. Obviously, we saw her last in terms of podcast in The Meg as Jason Statham's ex-wife. And most recently, she played Sonya Blade in the Mortal Kombat reboot. So obviously, them two there instantly are a bit more recognisable compared to the pretty much nobodies of the first one. And obviously, even like the other cast members have at least done something, one thing that's like well known. So obviously, the other actress who's in it, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, so I can't be asked to Google it. Obviously, she was one of fucking, what's his actual name in fucking 4? What? Scourge, that's it. Obviously, she was one of Scourge's dates in Full Ragnarok. You know, the one that basically got to watch him go, Des and Troy. She was one of those two women. And then the boyfriend played like one of the sub commanders or something like pilots in Avatar 2. But it's like that's his name on IMDb is Sub Pilot 1 or something like that. So he's one of the underwater pilots in the ships. And then the other guy was in a really shit film I saw about werewolves.
Oh.
That I was looking forward to just because it had 1 star in it. I was like, oh, it should be good. And I watched it and it was just dog shit. It was just as bad as that one we watched before and gave up on.
Oh god, that one.
Like the whole concept of the sort of build it as like Home Alone meets like Dog Soldiers sort of thing. In terms of basically like, people trapped in a house and there's werewolves trying to get them. But it was a shit. It was awful. I regret buying it. Worst £5 I've ever spent. Fuck's sake. But yeah, obviously that's the one thing that this has over its last one is literally it has someone will recognise. So a lot of people in terms of specific TV would probably recognise Luke Mitchell. They'd probably be like, oh, Luke Mitchell's in it. I know who that guy is. Might give it a watch, might not. Whereas the first one one may have appeared in Home and Away or something. There's a brief role. I think the guy didn't appear like it's like 2 random background characters in Home and Away, something stupid like that.
It's more of that was for more like Australian audiences. Like they when we watch Home and Away, I'm like, I recognise. Whereas obviously other countries be like watch more American TV shows and stuff. So
yeah, Home and Away was quite big over here.
Yeah, I've more of.
I don't think it's as big now.
Yeah.
But it was back in the day. I mean, I used to watch it back in the day. I used to love it. I used to love Home and Away back when I was younger. Well, never really bothered with Neighbours, but Home and Away is my jam. Home and Away. Best soap back in the day, that was. Better than the fucking British ones. But yeah. I mean, that's the thing with this one as well. Obviously, a lot of Australians will probably recognise these a bit more. Again, a bit more than the first ones, but they might, as I say, recognise slightly like, oh, I know which episode that guy was in or something like that. But obviously, even that can't salvage this movie in terms of it. I mean, you can tell the difference in terms of filming quality. Like, it's definitely upped heavily compared to that first one. Obviously, the new technology makes it look a lot more crisper and cleaner. But again, that doesn't salvage this movie. Don't get me wrong. On this rewatch, I did enjoy it slightly more than I did when I first saw it. I saw this when it first went to digital after cinema's release. And I brought it and never bothered rewatching it. And I was just a bit, oh, for fuck's sake. Because I remember Blackwater being pretty good. And like I was so let down with this. So you know me, I love my movies like this. These animals hunting people, I love them. I mean, I'm writing an entire book franchise in that sort of concept. That's something I'm a big fan of. And obviously when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, it's pretty cool. Obviously I remember Blackwater. I've been following the fact that they've been trying to make this movie for years. Like I heard about it years ago and nothing of it. And then I saw the posters for it and then obviously eventually the trailers come out and eventually it came out and I was a bit let down. I hyped myself up heavily, like, it should be like entertaining, and I was not entertained. But I enjoyed it a bit more on this watch. My only thing that dragged it heavily back down was its ending, and the fact they do heavily reuse a couple of plot points from the first one, which why? I mean, they reused the pregnancy angle and the whole it's a secret. Obviously, the only thing they change it up with this is the fact that she tells him, and the fact that it's not actually his kid, because she obviously had an affair with obviously Luke Mitchell's character, and obviously Jess McNames sort of guessed that from these very dicey pictures of very clearly them looking into his eyes and going, "Yeah, we're gonna fuck in a minute." But you know, it was a mistake.
Yes, not an affair, mistake, because mistake definitely doesn't mean you're cheated.
Obviously they also then reuse the ending of using a gun to kill the crocodile.
Yeah.
Like, there's these few things here and there. It's like,
at least they change it. Whereas, like, instead of it being like you see it happen,
yeah, it's all underwater. You hear the bang,
then bang. You hear kind of bang, but it's not that loud because it being underwater.
Yeah.
Or you see it's blood, and you're probably thinking, "Oh, she's
it's one
dead."
of them. One of them. Either it's killed her and she's killed it, or she's killed it, or it's killed her and she's missed. Obviously, it's not until the body comes up that basically you realise, oh, it's not because the croc's upside down, so it's dead. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. See, I like as well with this. I like that little piece of music it uses to get tension. That it's like a really sinister bit of music, but they use it a lot throughout.
Yes,
it's
like
recycled constantly, even if it's like not in a bit where, like, because it's something that kept being used every time you like the possibility the croc was there or something like whoa.
Yeah, like that she's leaning over the keys.
Like there, like that makes sense. But there was some shots where it used it, and it's just like it didn't really need to be used in that shot. It was
like they're looking at the water and they hear it, and it's like, what would the point of doing that? It's not going to jump out of the water when they're not even near it.
Like,
just looking at it.
There's just a few times I've reused it that doesn't make any sense. Like it's overused. But it's still a nice piece of music. It's just overused. Is the problem with it. Obviously, just like the last one, they utilize obviously a real crocodile, and obviously screen it into this one. When I first watched it, I honestly didn't like how they did it in this one. I thought it wasn't as good, but obviously rewatching it, I think it was just my eyes playing up for some of the shots. There's one shot when you sort of first see it come out of the water, and I thought it looked really shit when I first watched it, but when I rewatched it, I was like, oh no, it's just the torch shining across it really quick. Like the torch must have made me misbelieve that it's very clear that it's not in there with them. But obviously it must have been literally just the light as a torch goes by. It just looks dodgy, but it's not. It's fine. So it's just my eyes playing up when I first watched it. And so when I rewatched it, I was like, okay, no, it's not too bad. Obviously, the only one thing I do have a grind with this is obviously specifically it's mainly sort of the end part of it. Obviously, they switch it from that to straight up CGI for the fact that it's obviously fast moving and it needs to be on screen, jumping and whatnot. And it's not the greatest of CGI. And I wish they would have stuck to heavily just screening it in and just doing these quick cuts to make it blend rather than just like showing you it. So I feel like that does let it down. But I think in general the ending lets it down heavily. Like, I don't know, it's just dumb. I mean, just the fact that obviously they're driving away, you think, oh, it's all over, they've escaped. And then it's just like, oh, there's a tree, I'd swerve out of the way. I mean, you'd either just fucking put your brake down as quick as you could, or just slam into the tree, because either way, you're going to fuck the car, because if you go over there, even if there's no water, you're going to fucking hit loads of trees. You may as well fucking hit the one straight ahead of you. And obviously, this is a stupid way of getting them back in the water to fight the croc one last time. I just think they could have done so much better. I mean, they could have just done it of when they got out of the thing the first time in the water. It's in that bit of the water with them, and then eventually had them get to the car and just escape that way. Like have them drive away as the ending. But that would have been a lot better and not less stupid. Or in my case, a better ending I have is they're in the water. Obviously, they see the tree, they stop, they're like, shit. Okay, well, we have to walk around it. They go around it, obviously they slide into water. Like, oh shit, we're in the water now. And then obviously the croc comes out. it's about to get him and everything. Obviously, the one who's not cheated gets out the water and runs away, and the one who's cheated is like, "Oh no, I'm fucked now because she's left me."
Mm.
And there's a crocodile goes together. Oh yeah, beep beep as the fucking car just ramps over the fucking edge and just dive bombs on top of the fucking croc. And then she's like, "Fuck you, motherfucker!" and just plows the car into it. I feel that'd be a better ending. Come on. It says recycling the whole gunshot thing.
Yeah.
It's an over the top ending. Just to give people like a smile at the end, like, wow, I sat through this kind of boringish, like mediocre movie. But that ending, that's memorable. What other film can you sort of name in terms of this where like the ending is just like
Fast and Furious?
I mean, a movie like this.
I mean,
a movie like this, a killer animal
boring.
movie. Not a fucking random ass starting off as a fucking cop taking in a race gang who's a criminal to basically them basically working for the government and taking in hackers and terrorists and you name it. And Jason Momoa.
It's the same thing.
No, but what movie like this, in terms of this type of movie, have you ever seen where it just randomly ends with the most over the top, someone just ramping a car over the edge, like, woohoo, motherfucker! But she just jumps out at the last minute, and as it hits, it explodes.
This is still sounding more like Fast and Furious, just saying.
Fast and Furious.
You just made Fast and Furious but with a crocodile.
Fast and Furious sends Blackwater. It's a new spin-off. Oh, I'm guessing you're going to say it still sounds like Fast and Furious if I said when she jumps out, before it explodes, she starts pulls the guns out and starts shooting the crocodile mid-air.
Yeah.
And then shoots the tank and it blows up and kills them.
All you gotta do is add a saying family and then boom.
This is for my family, motherfucker.
What family?
Come on, that'd be a better ending than this one.
I mean...
It's dumb, but at least it's fun. At least it'll be something where someone would walk out and go, I think that ending is going to stick with me the entire time. Now, forget the rest of the movie, because, I mean, you'd pretty much forget all this movie.
I already have.
As I was watching it, I was like trying to think of like something that jumps out at me as like a favourite moment, and I was like,
No.
I can't think of anything. And I was randomly thought, oh, that's a shot. There you go, that's a shot. There's a shot that I just got in my mind. That's it. That's all I can remember really is heavily wow, because it's just very meh. But still, you'd walk out after that. You forget the entire thing. You're like, oh, I don't remember anything else. But you'd always remember that ending. The ending where she just ramps her car over the edge of the water, jumps out the car, shoots at the car and the croc and blows it up. I mean, you'd remember that constantly.
I mean, yeah.
You need something in a movie. Even if you make the shittest movie, you need something that someone will always remember. I feel like that would be it.
Mm-hmm.
This is why they don't let me make movies, because I just take it to the extreme.
Yep. That's exactly why.
And then it's your fault that you hired me.
Yeah. What other choice was it? James and Alex. I'll just make more anime.
Funner.
It kind of works.
True, I do work with him and he doesn't work a lot. He just stands there the entire time going beep 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 at me.
Mm-hmm.
And then unbuckling his trousers. Because that's what he did last night. Not in a sexual way, he was sorting his belt out. And because he was sorting his belt out, the entire time he was like there.
Still sounds suspicious.
It does, doesn't it?
A little bit.
Okay. You couldn't see his junk. Very small, Connor. But yeah, it's just there's not a lot with this film. I mean, the whole concept of being stuck in a cave has been done like so many fucking times. I mean, The Descent, which is a better movie.
Mm-hmm.
There's an actual film called Cave. There's literally a film called The Cave, which is about like bat monsters. And there's a couple of other ones here and there. It's something that's been done so many times. I mean, I can't think of a crocodile movie that's done it, so it is unique in that sense. It's just the whole concept of, oh, we're stuck in a cave. We need to get out. Water's possibly rising. Like, A lot of that's done so many times. Like, maybe if this came out when that first one came out, there'd be a bit of a different reaction. It might be like, oh, this is quite fresh, it's unique. But for the fact that
it's just generic.
That, and the fact that we've already seen the same sort of idea just in a river in the first one, it's just like, what are you gonna do? It's the same movie. That's the same problem with the Reef movies. Obviously they're trying to change it again with the cast, and that's how they get through it, but it still runs the same as its predecessor, and its predecessor is still a stronger movie. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's just something that I think just like fucking Multiverse of Madness and some of the more recent Marvel stuff, I've hyped myself heavily in and watched him and like, oh, it's still good. It's just not as good as I wanted it to be. And that's, if you get what I mean by that.
Yeah.
Like, I overhyped it in my mind. So I try and not overhype things.
Yeah.
I try to go, oh, that looks good. Or I don't go, oh, I can't wait for this movie. That's what I mean with Ant-Man. I'm like, it looks really good. Don't hype yourself up too much, Tom. Don't hype yourself up too much. That's why I'm not hyping this Cocaine Bear up. Hopefully then that's the best movie of all time.
You just hyped it up?
Well, that movie sucks then. You heard it here first. It's not even out for 2 weeks. It's shit. Imagine if it comes out now and it is shit. I'm like, I predicted it. I don't want it to be because it looks fun. I like this. But yeah, it's just, yeah. Can't really think of much else. Yeah, the characters are once again bland as fuck. There's not even, unlike the last one, which had character development for obviously Lee. This has no character development for anyone really. No. Like, they all pretty much end the same way they started. There's nothing. They don't evolve in any way. Obviously, Jessica McName's character doesn't evolve at all. She starts off already suspicious, and she doesn't really evolve to anywhere but that throughout the film. Obviously, the other couple, again, they're just the exact same as they are when you first meet them. Obviously, just later on, the evolution of, oh yeah, there's some cheating going on, and obviously them just trying to throw obviously the angle of how this guy's been bit. Obviously, that's the only thing really this tries to do different. Obviously, get someone hurt quite early. That's it. And obviously, it's the race survivor then of this guy basically not trying to bleed out, have an asthma attack, and then they're throwing the idea of, oh, he's also a cancer survivor. It's like trying to get so much more sympathy for him, and then, I mean, he's quite sympathetic when he does die because he just did the right thing of trying to help someone, and it's very blatant when it's just the constant shots of him just staring over the water. They're very obvious. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Oh yeah, it happened. And then him in the background going, oh, just going under the water. And he's like, oh, nom, 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 nom. It's just, as it is. The characters are just, they're probably worse in this one. As I say, that's the one thing, the first one, at least Lee had this evolution throughout. But none of these do. And, okay, I think they switched it up. I did like they switched it up with the idea of the first one, a really depressing ending. This one goes for a more happier ending. So it's nice that they didn't just try and do the exact same fucking thing. But it still doesn't salvage a very mediocre movie. It's dragged down heavily by its ending, really, in my opinion.
Ending, its pacing. It's boring. It's a dull film.
There's a lot better survival movies out there. And there's a lot of stupid ass decisions. I.e., ramping the car into fucking water. And just going down there in general. At least for the first one, they were going on a fishing trip. Whereas this one, it's like, oh, let's go down here. There's some missing hikers in the area, but we're still going to go into this area where the people are missing. That's not a red flag whatsoever there. Missing hikers that we haven't found yet. Definitely not a red flag us going into the area where they were last. That's dumb.
Mm.
I mean, I know like these movies have dumb characters, but
They have to.
yeah, but
Or else it'd end in like 10 minutes.
but you still need to make them entertaining, or like actually make you feel for them. Like even though obviously she's getting cheated on, you don't feel for her because it's just a character. Like there's nothing about her that makes you want to go. I want you to survive. I really want you to survive now. Like nothing at all. I mean, she has that really shit fall when she's trying to get out the water. She's like, oh. I love how she hits her head, knocks herself unconscious, and within 5 seconds she's awake again.
Oh yeah, no concussion rate at all.
Yeah, like I mean, if you hit your head on a rock, I think you'd be out a bit longer than a few seconds. It literally took him just dragging her slightly out the way, just to wake her up, like, and then instantly, like, oh no, he's dying.
And
like,
now I'm completely awake.
Exactly, like it's just like that's not that. If she hit her head, she'd either be like, ow, at first, like it didn't knock her out, but they clearly built it as it knocked her out. But it didn't knock her out for fucking long, and didn't fucking do any fucking she never like
consequences for it.
Yeah, exactly. Like you want some consequence, like you want some blood or like the rest of them would be like
there's a pain, and that might be why she's missing. Like
they could have done a shot of like a blurred vision or something, like her holding her head like shit, like it's coming back to get her.
She's hemorrhaging or something.
But obviously, no, it's just they brush it under the rug very quickly. So there's just a lot of stuff that just doesn't make sense, and a lot of stuff that could have been done better, and could have been done better,
but never was.
It's just one of those throwaway movies, kind of. There's worse ones out there, but there's better ones, i.e. the first one. So if you want to watch the same sort of concept, but in the river, just watch the first movie. It may not have well-known faces, but it's better than this.
Yeah, if you want like tight spaces, watch Crawl.
True. True.
I mean, it's like it's basically the same. The whole tight claustrophobic places.
But yeah, obviously, it's basically what this is. It's Crawl and Blackwater rolled into one. Same as the concept. Australia. More like a group of 4 versus crocodile.
Claustrophobic, stuck in the water.
Crawl.
Yeah.
It's just the two kind of merged together.
And this Crawl has got Chaos Godlaria.
But yet those two movies are so much better. Like this is nowhere near those movies. But as I say, I've seen worse crocodile movies, but I've seen a lot better crocodile movies. It's one of those ones that is definitely on the lower end, but more the middle.
Yes.
The mediocre to below average kind of one. And as I say, I kind of enjoyed it a bit more this time, so it did up it a bit, and then it dropped a bit more again with the ending. It was like, here, and it went, oh. I give it like an extra 0.2 to what I originally might have given it. So yeah, I can't think of anything else.
Same.
All I can say is I'm looking more forward to the Reef movie next, because I know that was an actual decent movie. But yeah. Okay, let's rate this Mama Jamma.
Yes.
As I say, in terms of where I sort of originally put it at, it was like a 4.8 in my mind. When I first sort of watched it, like just slightly below average. But I literally think it's just mediocre. Like there is some things I do like about it. I do like a lot some of the shots, specifically the underwater shots where you can see the croc just like in the murkiness. Basically anything with the crocodile in the cave itself, I like, and that does amp it a bit. And the fact that obviously there is obviously the recognisable cast that I can go, oh, I like him in something, I like her in something, like I can sort of be like, oh, it can draw me in a bit more. Obviously, I know who the fuck they are. Like just like, I don't know who she is. Don't know who he is. I'm like, oh, I know him. I know her. And I know that one. I know that one. I know that one. But yeah, it's just slap bang in the middle of a 5. I think is what I give it. That's what I said. I've seen worse. I've seen better. It's definitely low, but it's definitely better than some of the other crap ones I've seen. Specifically, most of the Light Plastic franchise. And when I say most, I mean like 2 onwards. It's definitely it's definitely more realistic, and that's what does make it a bit better. Like, something like this could possibly happen. Like someone gets trapped in the cave, and there's literally a crocodile in there. That's something a bit more realistic than just fuck ton of crocodiles that have taken over the lake. Oh no, and there's an anaconda involved, and now it's like mated, and somehow there's an anaconda crocodile baby that no one's ever gonna talk about again because we're gonna try and soft reboot it, and there's some weird dinosaur type version of it in another lake, which is slightly referencing the previous ones, but not referencing them at all. So yeah, it's just one of those ones. I give it a bit more. I give it credit for being a bit more realistic, but mediocre is where I let you put it. Like it's fucking pushing mediocre, like very pushing mediocre.
Yeah, for me, it's just boring, it's dull, and it's because of how boring and dull it is. I don't ever want to watch it again. It makes me not want to watch it. It's just it was a chore to watch, generally. Like, like these were the Lake Placid ones. As stupid as they are, there's some entertainment.
Oh, we got fraternity randomly here.
Yeah.
Oh, sororities.
It's crazy, but like, it's crazy and generic, but at least there's some level of entertainment. Genuinely, I felt nothing for this film. It doesn't. I didn't really want to watch it. How dull it was. I don't know what physically about it. It's just all of it was nah. Don't want to watch it. Then I'd give it a 3. It's that I would never watch it again. I think 3 is, it was a chore. That's how I'm gonna explain it. It was a chore to watch.
You started a bit more with the audience on Rotten Tomatoes, where I've got a bit more critics on Rotten Tomatoes. It's like I think it's like 48%. I think critics or something like that on Rotten Tomatoes. So I've sort of gone, but it's high 40s or low 40s. So I've gone a bit more that area, whereas you went more audience, which is like the 20 mark.
Yeah, I think it doesn't help that I don't like these kind of films, anyways. That doesn't help it.
You say that, and yet you gave the last one like an 8.
That one was alright. It was good. Like I wouldn't say I liked it. Like, you know what I mean? But
yeah, you gave it an 8.
Yeah, but I mean, objectively. Oh, I can't remember. But despite my feelings on those kind of things, I could see how good it made and the whole live stuff and stuff. But with this one, because it just felt like a waste of time. I didn't feel like I actually watched something. I got anything from the film. So it's like,
Okay. Well, that's very simple then. That gives obviously Blackwater Abyss, the Chatter Cave, over rating of 4 out of 10. Very simple. Slap bang in the middle. MVP. The Croc again.
Sure.
There's no character that actually deserves the award.
The Croc is going to be the MVP. The runner-up's the car. Because...
What?
Yep, because even that car did more than them.
It would have if it was in my ending. You know, ramped over the top and blew up and everything.
Would even run up for your ending.
No one deserves a runner-up in this.
Yeah.
No one really deserves the MVP. We're just going to give it to the crocodile just for, again.
At least it did something.
Yeah. And the fact, again, it was a real croc up till that CGI ending.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Crocodile. No runner-up. You don't deserve this. You're mediocre. Even mediocre movies tend to have decent characters. But you don't. So you don't get one. Favorite moment. The only one I could think of, literally, the only shot that I really liked heavily. And no, it's not my pretend ending, which was real. It's literally just the shot of when the first guy dies when he's underwater, and it's really tense for a while. And he keeps going up and down in the water to get his air, goes back down, and you can just see the teeth of the croc, just like in the murky distance. You're like, oh, is this gonna swim past him? Is it like, does it know he's there? And it's just like, it's a very tense moment of him like keep coming back up, looking down, it's gone again, and then he comes back on, and it just launches and just takes him out. It's just that shot in the water, the murky water of the teeth. Like, you're like, whoa, he's fucked. He's kind of fucked here. That is the one bit that sticks out in my mind, really. Nothing else heavily makes me go, I like that. Apart from my very over-top fake ending.
My favourite moment, I would say, with the credits. It's finally fucking over. Oh, generally.
I thought you like the muffled gunshot.
I didn't like it. At least it was slightly different.
So what, you going with the credits?
Yeah, generally, because at least it was over.
Oh, okay. Can't really think of a question. Maybe. Do you think that if they obviously, because if they did this a bit earlier than they did, if there wasn't this massive 13-year gap, obviously it would have probably been a different story completely, more than likely, and a lot of it would have been different. Do you think that would have helped make a better sequel if it was like a couple of years after, rather than this 13-year gap? I feel like some franchises, the big long gap between works, it's then classed as like a legacy sequel, whereas this, it's one of those things where it probably would have worked better like a couple of years after, like maybe in like 2010 or whatnot, where we haven't had multiple of these movies already. Because obviously, in the last 10 years, you've had fucking how many of these types of movies? There's like Crawl, the rest of the fucking Plastic franchise. You fucking name it. We've had loads of low budget, shitty sci-fi, straight to DVD, a couple of cinema ones, like these killer croc type movies, and maybe if it literally came out a bit sooner, it may have been different. It may have had the same concept in terms of someone trapped somewhere and it's after them, but I feel like because we've seen some Crawl, which is, yes, an alligator, it's not a crocodile, we've basically seen this type of movie. I feel like maybe, do you feel like maybe if it came out a bit sooner than a 13-year gap, it may have had a different impact than it did? So I know the first one critically is quite high on Rotten Tomatoes, but audience is quite low. It's actually pretty low. It's higher than this one, obviously. I think the audience score is basically the same as the critic score for this. Like, it's that low. But I really enjoy the first one. It's a decent survival movie, whereas this, it's a mediocre survival movie. There's nothing more to it than that, which is a shame because it's well-known faces. You'd want this to be a decent one, because you see people and be like, what can go wrong there? Like, it can't be terrible, and it's just meh, just bland and meh. And but yeah. So, do you think it would have been better if it came out sooner? And also, what do you think they were smoking when they thought, let's put the first movie out after COVID? Because it's got to be something fucking strong. Because this definitely feels like something that should have been out during COVID in terms of just like a straight to streaming or DVD type movie, not an actual cinema effort. So yeah, what do you think they were smoking? But yeah, obviously you can check out the previous podcast, obviously. If you wait till the end, was it pop up? I'll put it, if I can remember, I'll put it in the description below as well. The first one of this. Obviously you can check out all the rest of the podcasts. Obviously on here on YouTube. Obviously you can also check them out on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, yada yada yada. obviously, next week we're going to move on to the next duology by this director, which is obviously The Reef. Obviously, this next one is going to be a bit more like Blackwater, not the sequel, whereas the sequel is going to be more like the sequel than the first one. And what I mean by that is dodgy CGI and just I'm not going to say my opinion because that'll spoil it before it gets to it. Then when I rewatch it, it might feel a bit different. I might go, actually, that was not too bad, or oh, that was shit. Again, I could say that about The Reef. I could rewatch it and just not have a same. Just like drop so heavily after seeing it.
What the fuck have I just watched?
I don't think I will. I remember my mindset for that one. I mean, I've got it written down on my fucking letterbox account and whatnot, so I know exactly what I gave it first time. So we'll see if I can give it that again, or even go higher. But yeah, we hope you enjoyed. Obviously, I've been your host, Dragon Thomas Hughes. Obviously, this has been the lovely Hayden, aka Nicola, and we shall hopefully see you for the next episode of the Chess Care Podcast.
Bye.